So, welcome to this week's episode. I'm Paula Williams.
I'm John Wood.
And we are ADCI, and ADCI's mission is
to help folks out there in the aviation world sell more of your products and services.
Absolutely. So, we've done a lot of episodes lately on small, medium-sized companies, which make up, probably the majority of the aviation industry. But there are some big companies out there too, and we don't want to ignore them, of course, right?
Right.
And you and I have both worked for big companies.
Indeed, we have.
In the past. So we've learned a lot, I would have to say, about what to do and what not to do with big companies, ways that make them more powerful, because of their size, and also some things that can really work at a disadvantage if you're not careful, right?
Cool.
Okay. So we're going to do a series of 4, about big companies and things that they can do differently and so on. But these really do apply to everybody, because I think everybody has most companies could benefit from acting more like big companies in some ways as well, right?
And the reverse of that's awesome.
That is absolutely true. Okay. So first one we're going to talk about is CEOs, C-suite executives, people who are at the top of the heap in these large companies. They have a lot going on, and you explained this earlier today about everybody in an organization has a different perspective, and so somebody might be the best tree chopper on the planet, right? But they don't know for sure that they are chopping down the right trees.
Exactly. Yeah, it was explained to me a long time ago about the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am, a techie, and I'm doing my job, and I thought I had the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
And it was explained to me, said, well, here's the way it works.
Mm-hmm.
You're visibly chopping away a forest by a single tree. It's a great job. My job, and even the boss said, is to climb up on the ladder and make sure that we're two in the right forest and have any other forests out there.
And are we chopping down the right kinds of trees? Yeah, exactly.
And he says, my boss's job is to climb on the ladder a little bit higher and see how many forests there are.
Mm-hmm.
And then to guide us into which one we want to do next.
Mm-hmm.
And so forth. So the big picture changes as you progress upwards in the organization.
Right. And I think most CEOs and others don't think that they are necessarily any smarter or cooler or better than anybody else. They have a different job. I mean, it's literally a different perspective.
Except, but you basically want to get paid more because the guy down there cutting trees doesn't know that.
Exactly.
And to keep his job, you got to have the guy that's saying, we almost finished this forest, we got to do this one, and then there's that one, and then there's that one.
Exactly. So, keeping track of that big picture is a huge responsibility, and it's a different responsibility than the people in the company. And I think a lot of people in larger companies don't appreciate.
No, they don't.
Yeah, and they just
guilty. I didn't.
I didn't either, right? And then when you're on the other side of the desk, you have better appreciation for what they do and how hard it is. So, but anyway, I wanted to talk about some of the best CEOs are also the most famous, and there is some benefit to becoming famous as a CEO. And some of the people that we talk to say, well, I'm too busy for that sort of thing. I can't do public speaking. I can't do posting on LinkedIn. I can't be advocating for a topic or anything like that because I'm too busy with the day-to-day running of my organization, and I just want to keep my head down and do my thing. But as a CEO, you have a responsibility to be the face of your company and to represent your product and service to the world. And people trust people. They don't trust companies. So just a couple of examples from the aviation industry. Of course, the most obvious is Richard Branson, right? The great disruptor, right? And his personality really shapes the company of Virgin. It helps them recruit better candidates. It helps them sell tickets and helps them do a lot of things because of Richard Branson, right? Another one, Akbar al-Bakr, Qatar Airways. His cause or his advocacy really comes down to the more people travel internationally, the better for the world, because the more people are shaking hands and seeing each other literally eye to eye and seeing each other's cultures. And it is far harder to be prejudiced and narrow-minded if you have sat in somebody's house and eaten their food.
Exactly. And realize that they're doing the same thing you're trying to do, which is raise a family and get on the world.
Exactly. So his advocacy is really about global connectivity, cultural exchange, international travel, that sort of thing. And you can see how that fits really nicely with Qatar Airways and their mission.
Yep.
Ed Boland is another one, NBAA, advocating for safety, advocating for access, advocating for, the airports and things in the communities that they're in, advocating for business aviation. So all of those things, all of those people do a much more effective job of being CEOs because they are famous. Right. So, there's a couple of things that you can do as a CEO. One is to have a signature keynote that you can give at a moment's notice, right? Somebody calls you and says, "Hey, I'd like you to say a few words at the Chamber of Commerce dinner, or I'd like for you to take 15 minutes at this or that industry event or whatever." If you are ready to go with the signature keynote speech, then you can just adapt it to whatever the format is pretty easily and be ready to go. And, you practiced it, you're good at it, you're known for it. It's topics that you are passionate about, so that'll come across, and it advocates for your company without advocating for your company, right? Okay. So that's thing number one, is a keynote speech. Thing number two is executive digital coaching. That's another service that we offer. A lot of executives don't have the time or energy to be figuring things out on the web. They don't have time to be poking around and doing things wrong and not looking correct and everything else in the way that's
because they're working on the company, not in it.
Exactly. So, sometimes just spending 15, 20 minutes or half an hour or whatever, to walk through, this is how you make a post on LinkedIn. This is how you share a post from a news organization on your LinkedIn. So these are things that you have to do for yourself, because you can't just give somebody access to your LinkedIn account, or you shouldn't. But, you as a person should feel comfortable with these tools. And sometimes just having somebody you can call and say, "Hey, can you walk me through how to make this happen?" And somebody who will keep that confidential. And
what about the social media stuff would fall under the guys that are working on the company and his level.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, being an advocate for that cause, you're going to want to share news. You're going to want to comment on things. You're going to want to do those kinds of things. And, sometimes you need a little bit of help to get there so that you're not wasting time figuring it out, which buttons do I push and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Right. And then the third thing is ghostwriting. You don't have to be famous to have a ghostwriter, right?
So we hire ghosts?
We hire ghosts. Ghosts, vampires, and zombies, right? No. Actually, we do ghostwriting for a number of people in different specialties in the aviation industry, and we will never tell who they are.
Oh, because then we wouldn't be ghostwriters.
Then we wouldn't be ghosts, right? But, it takes a little while to get the hang of a person's personality and style and everything else and so forth and so on. But we'll get pretty close. And we get better all the time. I think every time we add a new plant for that, we get a little bit better at kind of tuning in quickly into, the things that make them sound like themselves. And, being able to draft materials that they can then just publish at will, or edit and then publish at will.
Exactly.
And things like that. So, those are three services that we can provide to help CEOs be CEOs, right? And to help them be famous, even if they're too busy to be famous, right?
Exactly.
Right. And then, of course, there's always the press releases, the other things that, speaking engagements, helping them get connected into the right places so that they are getting famous more easily. So, I think there's a lot that we can provide for people at this level, whether they engage us personally and they don't involve the organization, and the organization doesn't even know that we're involved.
Exactly.
Or, whether the whole organization hires us and this is just an additional service that we provide to the organization as the CEO level.
Or as flexible as can be.
Yeah, exactly. And as flexible as we need to be in this crazy industry.
Exactly.
All right. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Ciao.